When you have a flying V, it just kind of takes the wind out of it when you start playing 7th chords, I think.
I think
They're
it
sure
makes it
fun
cooler,
though,
dude.
aren't they?
It's a beautiful guitar.
Where's that
It is.
tremolo?
Well, that's pretty easy. I have a niece, and she was 6 at the time, and she, when I came to her house one time, she came up to me and said, "Uncle, Uncle, Uncle, look what I painted." And I looked at it and I said, "Well, that's lovely. It looks like a Rorschach Happy Love Skull." And that's exactly what it was, and I thought that'd be a perfect name for the album. And a week later, I asked her if I could use the art, and she said, "Of course." So.
Cool.
I loved the image when I saw it, and I just thought it was neat. I didn't really make the connection that it was your niece that did it at this point because I'd seen it so long ago. And I just thought that the album title was cool. Chris came up with it on his own, and you just heard the story. I think it's great. I love it. It's much more of a do-it-yourself industry now because you don't have to have a label affiliation to put your stuff out there and actually receive the profits wholly yourself. You can do it yourself through your own website or even through outlets like CD Baby and that sort of thing, of course, but you have the ability to control your profit, everything yourself, as opposed to having to need a contract to get these things, whereas in the old world of the industry, that's what you needed to do in order to succeed, or so it seemed on a large scale. I didn't answer the whole thing, but that was part of it.
A record label, a major record label without a musician is a bunch of people sitting in a building in a corporate place with no product to sell. A musician without a record label is someone who has to work their asses off all the time, every day to make a living. And it can be done. They may not be rich and famous for the power of distribution that a major corporation can provide them, but to me, I'd much rather be a musician. So I think if a major label was to present or come to us and want us to sign a deal, I would like 50% right off the top. If not, I'd like to tell them that.
I was seeing a girl named Elizabeth who had a friend named Courtney who was putting together some kind of band, and I met Chris as a result of meeting Courtney, talking about the possibility of being part of this band. I didn't know any of the other people, or Courtney really at that point. I just met him through Girlos. And so, as a result of being pulled into that as a possibility for me being the singer for this thing, he was one of the 2 guitar players there, and that's where I met him. His hair was way, way, way longer than mine at that point in time. He wins back then.
That's an interesting fact.
That was well put. That was well put. The man was a little bit difficult to work with, so we decided to part ways, both of us individually, then we started working together.
Be true to yourself with your art, and don't feel like you need a major label in order to be an actual musician. That's my opinion.
What about you, Chris?
Do it because you love it. And if you're a musician first, instead of getting into it as being a producer, your best friend is going to be a metronome.
Yeah.
Once you physically have the muscle memory to be able to play the part, never play without it. If it's, be it a drum machine or a click track, use it.
Liberace? No, I'm just kidding. Beatles for sure for me. They're my very favorite band in the universe, so I have to start with them. Biggest influences. Let me just say Beatles. There are too many to really in this forum, so I'm just going to say Beatles. But
Oh, Jason.
oh well, yeah, Jellyfish and the like, the fellows. But it's such a big question, and I have so many answers, commas, another answer, you know, so it's like, let me just say Beatles.
I'd like to answer for him, and I'm sure he'll allow this. He is the biggest music fan that I know. He loves and embraces all sorts of music. His librarian type knowledge is massive, and I have a very small area that I like. Beatles are the best songwriters that ever graced the earth. but I'm more of the 80s-ish from Smiths, Johnny Marr, I love him. 90s Suede, Bernard Butler, Pulp. Down Tom Waits, who's completely different. Yeah, the new wave, some punk, well, traditional punk, gothic, industrial. Love the Killing Joke. They peak out. It depends on which projects I'm doing. If I'm doing something more gothic, and some of those, like gothic bands, those influences will be more prominent. But the Smiths, in the popular music, I kind of try to emulate Johnny Marr. Classical music, I love Wojtek Kilar. He's a Polish composer, and if he was a kid from the 80s, he'd be a goth. I mean, it's ghostly, spooky, most beautiful music. He lived through the Nazi occupation in Poland, and I'm just massively in awe of him. I've been trying to get a hold of him. He's 87, and his wife died 2 years ago. I've been talking to the Polish consul to try to get a hold of him,
Yep.
and she's been very helpful. Her name's Kup. I don't know how you say it in Polish, but she's got me in contact with their management, and they're not getting back to me. And I want an autographed picture, personalized picture of Wojtek Kilar right there, so when I look up to it, that I know I have to try even harder to be better because he's so awesome. The band is basically me and Adam. And I mean, I'm Adam's support. I'm the structure that allows his golden voice to be heard. I mean, that's the whole reason I'm playing, is for him to be singing. So,
You're blush. You're making me blush.
I'm so true. Better than hating you.
I appreciate that. Thank you for the love.
Yeah.
The Rorschach and the happy and the love and the skull.
I've worked with people I don't like. You've all heard me lament about those people.
I think we have.
We don't have a band yet, but I've been hoping to find a drummer and a bass player and another guitar player.
Well, this is your ad right here.
Yes, so if you're in Portland,
I was also going to say, I would like to work into a position where I'm drumming and singing
That's
in
right.
addition to what you're doing, even with sequenced parts.
I'm so sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Minimizing the true need for 8 musicians on the stage.
he is so talented
But
he can play drums and
that's-
sing all the parts
That's
by
not
himself.
what I'm trying to say, but yes,
No,
I could.
I can say
Yeah.
that because it's not egotistical.
But I would love to eventually get into almost a jellyfishy position where I'm standing, drumming, and singing simultaneously, as opposed to just singing or being the guy, making weird,
I like this.
weird gyrations on stage.
Well, indie, if we're in control, we can drive it as far as we can. And the profits are going to come to us. We're responsible for the taxes, and we would be with a major label. But a major label, you've got that massive exposure, but we have the internet on our side, so as much as we drive it and can afford to drive it, there's going to be our exposure.
Adam?
I think it's a case-by-case basis depending on, related to what's better, because you can take a band that's on Sub Pop, Spinanes, who did very well, 2 people, drummer, guitar player, singer, and they did really well in alternative radio in college and that sort of thing, just as being connected to Sub Pop. But would they have done better on a major? I don't know. Maybe they would have. So
A major label can shelf you.
yeah,
I've
that's
seen
true.
it happen, and it's heartbreaking, and it's ridiculous. And if they're in control of someone else's talent and art,
Mhm.
that's complete bullshit.
You want to? Okay, my angle on that whole thing was originally the acoustic version of Universe was just going to be called Universe Acoustic Version in parentheses or something. So I think that at some point with the other version, the dancier, more techno-y kind of, I just thought electrophonic sounded interesting at a certain point connected to that one, in parentheses for the electrophonic mix or electrophonic version. So as a result of that sticking and me liking it, I suggested to him, should we go acoustophonic or acoustiphonic for the Universe version? So that's where that came from. No other reason really, from my perspective. Go.
It seemed artistic to me, so I like that. And I love any input from him, so that was good. I love and embrace the 80s sound so much, and I loved a-ha, and I like the newer bands that are influenced by those bands, and there's some gothic synth pop bands that I really like Covenant from, I guess they're from Sweden. I thought they were from Norway, but they're from Sweden. And I'd actually written, and I can't even think of the name of the song. What song is it? The Future. The Future.
Sorry, The Future.
Yeah,
That bugs
I
me.
wrote it. I wrote it as a guitar song, and I liked it. And some reason, there's a bagpipish feel in a sense that no one will get but me. But it's kind of this weird drone and using just a few notes back and forth, and the feel reminds me of some Scottish folk or something. And then I sat down at my keyboard one day and I said, I'm gonna program that song, and that was it. It was motivation. I sat there till it was done. It took a long time. But I programmed every single note, didn't use any arpeggiators, any weird generators, just every note. I physically drove into that thing.
So that was basically an instrumental version of the actual version of The Future that he played for me all of a sudden one day, and I was like, it took me a minute to figure out what the song was because I'd heard the actual version of the song several times, lots of times, and then I heard that and I'm like, whoa, what did you do? It's just so not anything that I ever would have expected us using or my voice being connected to, and I love it. I kind of want to go to CC Slaughter's every time I hear it. My wife does too.
I don't.
It'd be fitting to be played there. That's all I'm getting at. You know what I'm saying?
I like lots of different styles, and I don't want to be pigeonholed into one style. But recently, a very intelligent mastering engineer, Rick McMillan from Super Digital here in Portland, Oregon, suggested I hone in my styles for each album, and I think I'm probably going to do that in the future. So this is an experiment. It was our first shot, and I'm not unhappy with what I've done. Usually it's fiction, pure fiction. And to be honest, I can't even really think of them. I tend not to. I mean, I think I'm a pretty open person and friendly, but there's certain aspects of my life I like to keep private. I don't listen to it because the last time I did, they played the same five songs over and over and over and over all day long.
What were the 5 songs?
I don't remember.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but they weren't even songs I'd probably even pick.
Yeah.
I don't remember the groups.
Sure.
It's like television. Every once in a while when I go somewhere where it's on, I'm like, I've never even heard that before. What TV show is that? What's radio? What is, it's commercials and commercials and commercials.
I do still listen to radio here and there, very specific stations in Portland, of course. I'm not going to drop names, but there are certain stations that will play things from artists that are new that I like, including 101.9 FM, which I'm not going to say the call letters for, but they'll play like a new, Eric Clapton song or a new Neil Young song, and I will not be able to hear it otherwise. So that's part of why I tune into that.
Neil Young's still alive?
He's got a new album out, dude. That first song kills me.
I think it's the internet now. I think internet's changed everything from Blockbuster video going out because you can get Netflix to and the immediacy of, oh my gosh, I love that song. What's the name of that band? Log in, download, paid. I've got it. Instead of, boy, tonight, after work, after a gig, I'm gonna go to that music store
At the mall.
and I'm gonna talk to people. There's this group and the song goes like this. And then find the album, but it's sold out because it's really popular.
We've only got Arcade Fire.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what you're talking about. My name is Adam Robinson, and I'm half of the duo Robinson Moncrief, and we have a new album out now called Rorschach Happy Love Skull, and this is my cohort.
Chris Moncrief, the other half of Robinson Moncrief. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to go hit cdbaby.com and check out the page for the album, of course.